Hi, everybody. This is Pastor Susan, and welcome to another day of devotions as we're recording again on April the 8th. I see as I'm looking around new life that is sprouting all around me. So much budding that's taking place, so many trees that have been bare for several months and now are bearing fruit. Bursting forth and the sun shining through the trees, the breeze that is blowing, the birds that are singing, dogs that are barking. It is alive and it is great to be outdoors enjoying God's presence that is with us always. Thanks be to God. And today, I want us to, as we're talking about our relationship with God and the that we are gathered to God. We're gathered in worship to God, but we're also gathered in this time with God. And for those of us who have eyes to see, a heart that is open, ears to hear, life is bursting forth with glory. And this is all the gift of God. Today, I want to talk about what credit can I give away? Because we've been talking about, yesterday we were talking about the idea that we are, that we can be successful, and what does that mean versus what's God's definition of success. Today I want to talk about our fascination and our emphasis culturally on self. And we are self-industry people, right? The selfie image is booming. Who would have thought 20 years ago, or I don't know how long it has been since we've been able to take selfies, but who would have thought that we would be so engrossed with taking pictures of ourselves to preserve? I have thousands of pictures in my phone that I probably would never have taken had it not been for the convenience of the phone and the vision of Steve Jobs to turn the phone into a camera. So anyway, but the selfie industry is booming. We know this. This was before actually taking selfies, but the emphasis on self-care, self-help, self-worth, being self-aware, having good positive self-talk, self-love, self-healing, self-defense, being self-employed, self-improvement, self-leadership, self. And while there is absolutely no, and I want to make sure we say this, there is absolutely no criticism of making sure we are taking care of self in ways that are life-giving to ourselves and to others. We are not, let me repeat this, we are not a one of us, self-made. We are not self-made. There is no such thing as a self-made man or woman or person. And so I want to talk about how we understand this as we look at one of Paul's letters to the Corinthians. At 1 Corinthians chapter 3, Paul talks about the importance of giving credit away. Let's listen to what he says in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 5 through 9. What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you came to believe, as the Lord assigned to each. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. The one who plants and the one who waters have a common purpose, and each will receive wages according to the labor of each. For we are God's servants, working together. You are God's field, God's building. So what's happening here? The Corinthian church is if you think that the early church didn't have their problems, read 1st and 2nd Corinthians, read most of the letters. They're all dealing with problems and conflict in church. Why? Because it's made up of human beings who struggle. We struggle and we grow, and hopefully we learn from our mistakes. But here Paul is trying to say to the Corinthians, because some of them were saying, oh, I belong to Apollos, I belong to this pastor, I belong to that pastor, that's my person. And Paul is quick to say, no, it's all about God. And that there are servants that are put into the life of churches, life of faith communities for a time, but it isn't about that person. That person is called by God, and just like each one of us is called by God. And so part of my journey has been in recognizing the gifts that God has given me clearly, that God has given me, that I do not apologize for, that I give God thanks for. And that's the thing, that I give God thanks for, because it's really easy to get puffed up in yourself. And I would not be authentic with you if I didn't say that it really makes me feel good when somebody says, oh, Pastor Susan, you're just great. Thanks. But thanks be to God that I'm able to be used by God in such a way that other people's lives are being touched. And here's the thing, you can be too. Every single one of us. So the question for today is, who can we give credit to? Well, hopefully we are giving credit where credit is due. And that credit, ultimately, first and foremost, comes from God. God, who gives gifts that are wonderful and amazing, and gives gifts to all of us that are wonderful and amazing. But recognizing that source, so that the gifts that God offers to us may be offered to others in such a way that they can be used for God's glory. Maybe so today. May we recognize our gifts, and may we recognize that focusing on ourselves limits how those gifts can often be shared. So today, let's give thanks to God for the gifts that we have been given. Will you pray with me? Loving and gracious God, from the birds that sing songs to the sun that gives us light and warmth, to the people that you place in our lives that have gifts that lift up and encourage and teach and help us to grow. We give you our thanks because we know, oh God, that you are the source of all of life. And so today may we be mindful of the gifts that you give so generously, and may we offer them generously to a world that needs to know the source of where they come from. May we give you glory in all we do today. Amen and amen.